Now, this is exactly why you guys should subscribe to us here on Chat Sports. ESPN Plus is $120 plus per year. We're free, $0. It costs nothing other than just your time to watch our stuff. We will always be free. Free videos every single day. Live NFL draft coverage this year as well. Breaking down everything going on around this year's NFL draft. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Mel Kiper has dropped what seems to be his final 2025 NFL mock draft. He has not said it was his final one in the article, but Field Yates had said it was his final one. And last year, he did something similar where he didn't put out a mock draft beyond this time of the year. So let's get into it. 2 rounds. We'll go quick at some parts, slower in others. Cam Ward. Look, the second the Titans canceled their Shedeur Sanders meeting, it was very clear this team is taking Cam Ward number 1 overall. Barring some stunning trade, it's Cam Ward at number 1. Number 2 is where the draft begins. Is it Sanders, Abdul Carter, or is it Travis Hunter, the wide receiver / corner out of Colorado, who'd probably play more receiver in the NFL, in Cleveland in particular. So Hunter goes 2, leaving a quarterback hole for Cleveland. The Giants also pass on Shedeur Sanders. They go Abdul Carter. It's in a unique trio with Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, which I don't know how that fits together, but this is just the Giants taking the best player on the board, and that's tough to get too mad about. With Carter and Hunter off the board, the Patriots take Will Campbell. Now, look, I don't think there's going to be a trade up here for a QB. Mel kind of hinted at that. If Hunter and Carter are off the board, plugging in Campbell, who's got arm length concerns, but can be a starter at left tackle in theory, does fill their biggest need. Number 5, Mason Graham to the Jacksonville Jags. I just think this makes so much sense. I think Mel has mocked this in every single one of his mock drafts, since the year ended. It makes sense. It fills a need, and it's probably BPA as well. Number 6, Ashton, Jeanty, the Raiders there. I think there's a chance they go corner here. I don't think they're going to go Shedeur after having re-signed Geno Smith as well. But adding a legitimate number 1 back to a group that doesn't have a real one is a huge need filled. Armand Membou to the Jets. And you go back-to-back tackles, right? Olu Fashanu, and then at left tackle, and Membou at right tackle. Tyler Warren, I think, also makes some sense, but with what Aaron Glenn saw in Detroit, maybe offensive line investment is the path they choose to go. Also the same pick in 4 straight mock drafts for Mel Kiper, Jalon Walker, the edge / linebacker, really, out of Georgia. He can do a bit of both and probably will do a bit of both. I think Mel probably views him more as an off-ball linebacker. Also of note, he has a pre-draft visit with the Browns, which I found really interesting too. Here is the Shedeur Sanders landing spot. Number 9 to the Saints. Mel is a big Shedeur Sanders fan. I'll make note. Look, if Shedeur doesn't go to the Saints, he might slide a lot, barring a trade-up. The Bears aren't going to go QB. The Niners, the Cowboys, the Dolphins. I don't think the Colts, the Falcons, the Cardinals, the Bengals, probably not Seattle. The Bucs aren't going QB. And then it's Denver's not going QB. Then you get to 21. So there's kind of a big fall off. If he doesn't go 9, does he get all the way down to 21? That's a pretty big question mark for me. So prediction time. Will Shedeur Sanders end up being a top 10 pick? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's video. It's the pinned comment. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. No Jeanty. Top 2 linemen are gone. Oftentimes you see Tyler Warren mocked here. That is what Mel Kiper has the Bears doing. A lot of 2 tight end personnel could be a ton of fun for Ben Johnson and Chicago. I like Will Johnson a lot. I don't know if the Niners are going to spend a first-round pick on a corner. They've got pretty big needs along the trenches, but I would not be mad at it. I think he is a very, very talented football player. Mel seems to be convinced Marion Hampton's going to be the pick here out of North Carolina for the Cowboys. The Cowboys beat writers don't seem to be nearly as confident in that one, even the one over at ESPN. Keep an eye on Teterow McMillan, maybe Matthew Golden here as well. Jahdae Barron to the Dolphins at 13. They got a lot of needs, and the cornerback 2 spot is certainly one of them. I am a big fan of Barron's game, of his play. The arm length means he won't be for everybody. With no Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland is the pick at 14 out of Michigan. The Colts got nothing from the tight end room last year. So adding an impact starter, whether it's Warren or in this case Loveland, makes a ton of sense. The Falcons had 31 sacks all year. Second fewest in the NFL last year. I feel like every mock draft is the Falcons adding insert pass rusher. Every one of them. Mike Green's got outfield stuff to that, but he was incredibly productive as a pass catcher last year. Or pass rusher. Excuse me. Number 16, Matthew Golden to the Cardinals. So back-to-back first-round picks on a wide receiver. Golden does fit in pretty well as a number 2 receiver, but they've also paid Trey McBride. It's not the worst idea, but I'd be slightly surprised given just the sheer investments there. Jihad Campbell at number 17 out of Alabama to the Bengals. We'll see what happens with Jermaine Pratt. I'm a bit surprised he wasn't cut or traded already. But if the Bengals add Campbell, then Pratt ends up being gone. Campbell is a pure off-ball linebacker. If we count Joe Morton as a hybrid, I think is the best one in this class. I'm curious what the plan would be for Kelvin Banks. Is he a guard or a tackle for Seattle? Because Seattle has to figure out their guard spot. Or would they play Banks there? Would they kick him over to the right side? Because you're not going to play him over Charles Cross. But interior O-line presence, I think, is where you're probably going to play him if you're Seattle, is a pretty big need. Nicky Manwari out of South Carolina to the Buccaneers here, which I often mock Jihad Campbell. The Bucs had some inconsistencies in the back end of their secondary, so adding a very dynamic playmaker with the athletic traits that's really intriguing, I don't hate it at all. Denver should be pretty happy here, even though I think Teterow McMillan is a little bit similar to Courtland Sutton. I think he's the best non-Travis Hunter athlete, wide receiver in this year's class. The backs are gone, Jeanty and Hampton. You got size, too. Sutton, T-Mac, and Evan Ingram is a really fun grouping in Denver. Who do you think ends up being the first wide receiver taken in this year's NFL draft? 2 main contenders, TM for Teterow McMillan, MG for Matthew Golden. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Number 21, I like this fit if they don't have a quarterback in mind, which Mel said he pivoted away from Jackson Dart here. Derek Harmon, I think, is a great fit for what Pittsburgh does on defense, and they could kind of use the help here. Gray Zabel is the pick at 22 overall, the North Dakota State guard/center. You could probably plug him in at, I think, center, although they did sign Andre James and bring back Bradley Bozeman, so I'm not sold on the Chargers pick, but it would be a Harbaugh pick, right? Offensive lineman. Packers at 23. Edge makes a lot of sense. I like the fit here with Micah Williams. This is about I think the proper range for him. He might go earlier, by the way, but this is a really good football player, upside wise. He's a good run stopper. The pass rush consistency has not been there. The traits are, which does make him a gamble in round 1. Vikings go offensive line here. Donovan Jackson. I think a trade down is extremely likely. They are very light on draft capital. This would be a left guard option to replace Blake Brendel, and they would have totally overhauled the entirety of their interior offensive line. It'd be Jackson, Ryan Kelly, and Will Fries, both from Indy, all coming over this offseason. Houston takes a developmental offensive tackle, Josh Connerly. I think he's a bit underrated. I actually don't mind Mel putting him in round 1. I think the Patriots, if he falls to the top of round 2, makes so much sense for him. I think give him some time to grow and develop and hopefully protect C.J. Stroud long term. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. It is the place for last-minute tickets with killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views for your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets or tickets to non-baseball games if there's not one in your area. But there's minor league games on there as well. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices in the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. You can find incredible deals. Keep an eye out for the zone deals. It's where you pick the section. Game Time picks the seats for big-time savings along the way. The lowest price guarantee from Game Time is this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So if you haven't already, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, all guaranteed. Of course, terms do apply. Despite Sean McVay saying, and he might be lying about it, that he hasn't done a lot of work on the QBs here, he has Jackson Dart, Mel does, at 26 to the Rams, citing the potential and the future prospects. I've made my point here before. I don't see the same some of the other people do. He doesn't have bad traits. He's got good traits, but I don't think Jackson Dart has top 10 quarterback potential. He's got top 15, top 20 quarterback potential. I don't see enough elite arm strength, mobility, size. It's not bad. It's actually pretty solid. He's got better traits than some of this class, but I feel like we're forcing QBs to go earlier than maybe what they should. Big fan of Malachi Starks to the Ravens at number 27. This is a classic Ravens pick. SEC player, instant starter. Gives them some flexibility with where they want to play Kyle Hamilton, too. I do think Donovan Ezaraku out of Boston College ends up being a first-round pick. I think that the ability to bend, to get pressure, he's not the biggest guy. He's got, I think, more pass rush ability than some of the other guys we often see mocked in round one. Shamar Stewart goes 29. I could see him going as high as 8 and as low as 32. The talent is, the traits are there. The man's got 4.5 career sacks. So how you balance that is frankly not easy. Number 30, Maxwell Harrison. Hey, they traded away Kyrie Elam. Here's a new outside corner. He was not as good this year, but he's got playmaking ability, and the entire Kentucky team was not as good this year either. The Chiefs, 31, Josh Simmons. They've signed Jalon Moore, but Simmons was playing great before he got hurt. There have been a couple different reports, though, that he needs some more maturity. I feel like Mahomes and Reed can get the most out of him, though. Number 32, James Pierce, the edge out of Tennessee. Also some character stuff there, like the phrase of what makes him tick. I've heard a couple times in terms of focus and attitude. But the pass rush ability is there, and those guys often sneak into round one. Let's go to round two. We got back-to-back quarterbacks here. Tyler Shuck and Jalen Milroe. I frankly don't see the talent with Tyler Shuck, but he might be the best quarterback on the Browns roster if it's just him and Kenny Pickett. It's not saying anything. Jalen Milroe has the physical skill set, but he is not ready to play football. He needs a year, if not 2. He's got to kind of overhaul his mechanics and become a more consistent over the middle of the passer there. But back-to-back QBs, 33 and 34 to begin round 2, which we don't see that much of. We did see it with Will Levis, of course. How many QBs do you think go in round 1? And yes, Tyler Shuck is older than Trevor Lawrence, by the way, in case you were wondering. Round 1, round 2. How many QBs? Mel's got 5. What do you think the number is? Let me know in the comments of today's show. One of Mel's guys, Oluwafemi Oladejo, who I think could be a surprise round 1 pick, which I would not take him there. Tennessee gets a pass rusher. It fills a need. I think that's a lot of development you have to go through there. Emeka Egbuka, it's not the biggest need for Jacksonville, but the value is great and, help Trevor Lawrence. It makes sense. Carson Schwessinger to help out at linebacker, which I would have taken Luther Burden for the Raiders. The Patriots get him at 38, which, Will Campbell, Luther Burden is a really fun 1-2 punch in the draft. Walter Nolan, who has had mixed reviews on his film and I think some of the character stuff, by the way, as well. To the Bears at 39. I don't know if they need another interior player, but talent is there. Azareye'h Thomas, Wanye Thomas, the Cowboys safety brother. Length on the outside. There's your Marshawn Lattimore replacement. Travion Henderson to the Bears, who I mean, there's the running back that, you could have waited because you don't think the Saints probably would take one. You got one pick for where they're not going to go. It's kind of fun for Chicago. He's there at 41, explosive, big play machine. Elijah Arroyo, who I do like, 1 year wonder, but was really good. Was finally healthy. Medicals will matter a lot there. Kenneth Grant falls to 43. I was kind of surprised by that one. That would be I would love that pick by the 49ers. Double Michigan players, which is kind of fun. Trey Amos to the Cowboys fits their archetype more often than not. Would be an outside-only corner. Jonah 7-9, I think it's how it's pronounced. He clarified it at the Combine. I haven't quite got the phonetic down yet. Helping out with some replacements. I think he's a guard in the NFL. So you plug him in there probably at right guard, ideally, in the NFL. Injured but talented corner, Benjamin Morrison. That hip is a big-time question mark, but he can slot in there at the number 2 corner spot opposite A.J. Terrell. Tyler Booker falling to 47 is noteworthy. I wouldn't be shocked if he snuck into the first round. This is, I think, one of the better value picks in Mel's mock draft. Miami gets some defensive line help. They need it. Darius Alexander, one of the better MAC players this past season. He's had some slight round 1 buzz, but I think he probably goes top 75 at minimum. JT Tomaloa, there's an edge to help out the Bengals. I mean, does that surprise anybody? No, I don't really think so. Savone Revel out of ECU. Man, that's a lot of fun to put Reek Wolin and I guess Devin this one on the nickel. But again, what the hell is Seattle going to do on O-line? Also, by the way, just make note, their GM loves drafting backs. I would not be shocked if they took one early. Quinshawn Judkins goes to Denver here, so it's a T-Mac Judkins combo is super fun for the Broncos. We'll come back to pick 52 here. Who is the better OSU running back? TH Travion Henderson, Hugh J for Quinshawn Judkins. Could be a big gap between receiver like 4 and 5. Jaden Higgins at Iowa State. I actually like Jalen Knoll more, but Higgins offers more size. Nick Scorton, who I think played too heavy at A&M, which might have been an A&M issue, not a Scorton issue, was great at Purdue. I think he can bounce back, like him in round 2. Jack Besh, which they need a receiver. I would like someone that gets open a little bit more consistently against man coverage. Mason Taylor, that is, by the way, Jason Taylor's son, Zach Thomas's nephew to the Chargers. That makes sense, doesn't it? That's a logical fit. Love the Tyreek Williams pick here to help stop the run. He could be a top 50 pick in this year's class. Isaiah Bond out of Texas. He's fast. There's talent. I think there's questions about just like the consistency overall. Jalen Knowles a very fun player. I don't know how many slot receivers Houston needs, but I think the value of 58 is very good. David Walker out of Central Arkansas is a FCS player, very productive. I think 59 is rich for him, but he did test pretty well. Anthony Belton, this is also a little bit rich for me. This is where Mel can kind of get a little weird with some of his picks, frankly. He probably does kick inside to guard, so he can compete with Christian Mahogany for that spot. Darian Porter is a classic Dan Quinn pick because he's long, fast, and lanky. He's also old and has not been a super consistent defender. He hasn't played a lot. Xavier Watts, love that pick for Buffalo, one of my favorites. Caleb Johnson with the Chiefs is fun. He's going to be a zone-heavy runner. I like Kevin Winston, too. Eagles don't normally go safety, but it actually does fill a need with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson gone.